For centuries, men have searched for the single key that would unlock the doors to fortune, influence, peace of mind, and personal greatness. They have turned to kings, to priests, to scholars, and to charlatans. They have climbed mountains, consulted sages, read 1,000 books, and spent lifetimes in labor, only to find themselves at the end of their journey tired, uncertain, and still enslaved by the same fears, doubts, and chains that held them at the beginning. And yet, I say to you, there is a key. It is not buried. It is not hidden in mystery. It has been in plain sight, waiting only for the man who has eyes to see and ears to hear. That key is found in the 16 laws of success. When you grasp them, you will no longer stumble as a blind man in a strange land. You will walk as one who holds the title deed to life itself. You will command money because you will understand money is only an obedient servant. You will command opportunity because you will know that opportunity bows to definiteness and persistence. You will command respect because respect cannot be withheld from the man who has mastered himself. But before I show you what awaits you if you seize this key, let me show you the curse that comes if you ignore it. For every law of success has its opposite. For every principle neglected, there is a penalty inflicted. For every truth resisted, there is a chain forged. Picture this. You wake in the morning with no burning desire, no chief aim, no definite plan. The alarm sounds and you strike it with irritation because life has become a dull repetition of yesterday. You stumble into a job you despise under the orders of a man you do not respect, and every hour feels like a theft of your soul. You look at your children, and though you love them, you see disappointment in their eyes, for you have given them nothing but excuses. You look at your wife, and though she endures, she knows you promised her more than this. You look at your own reflection, and you know you have betrayed yourself. That is the penalty of drifting. That is the judgment handed down to every man who refuses to learn the laws that govern achievement. For nature does not excuse ignorance. The law of gravity does not spare the child who steps off a ledge. The law of success does not pardon the man who fails to obey it. Now picture the opposite. Imagine rising with a burning purpose so definite it draws you from your bed as fire pulls oxygen. Imagine walking into your work with the authority of one who knows he is not a hireling, but a builder, a leader, a creator. Imagine your children looking at you not with pity, but with pride, whispering to one another, "That is my father." Imagine your wife standing taller, because she knows she is the partner of a man who keeps his promises. Imagine your enemies gnashing their teeth in silence, forced to confess even through their envy that you have become untouchable. This is not a fantasy. This is law. And the difference between those two lives, the one of quiet failure, the other of triumphant success, lies in whether or not you master these 16 laws of success. Let me show you the path. Introduction. The two roads before you. Life places before every man two roads. One is broad, crowded, and easy. It requires nothing but drifting, excuses, procrastination, and surrender to fear. It leads to the wasted life, broken health, broken hopes, broken promises, and broken hearts. On this road, you will be mocked by your enemies, ignored by your friends, and pitied by your children. You will hear the ticking of the clock not as opportunity, but as the sound of your life draining away. The other road is narrow, demanding, and lonely at first. It requires discipline, faith, persistence, and the courage to stand alone. But it leads to riches of every kind, money that grows faster than you can spend it, friendships with men of power and character, respect that cannot be bought or faked, and peace of mind that makes even sleep an act of triumph. On this road you will be honored by your family, admired by strangers, and envied even by those who once ridiculed you. The 16 laws are the compass, the map, and the torch for this narrow road. Without them you will drift back to the broad one, no matter how fiercely you wish for success. With them you cannot fail. Let us descend first into the pit and see what becomes of the man who dares to ignore these laws. Without this knowledge, he drifts like a ship without a rudder. He has strength, but it is scattered. He has ideas, but they are unfocused. He rises each morning with no definite aim, and so he spends his days as a servant to the aims of others, employers, politicians, schemers. His talents, meant for greatness, are wasted in small errands and empty labor. When opportunity comes to him, he hesitates, he doubts, he waits. And while he waits, another man, one armed with confidence, seizes the reward. He looks back later and says, I could have, I should have, but by then, the moment has already passed. He copies instead of creates. He complains instead of commands. He is endured, never admired. He offends more than he inspires. His emotions master him. His appetites devour him. He lives for comfort and receives poverty. He fears failure, and in fearing, he multiplies it. He curses adversity instead of mining it for hidden treasure. Look at the world, and you will see such men everywhere. You will find them beaten before they begin, bitter in middle age, broken in old age. They are your warning. They are the living proof that without these laws, defeat is inevitable. But lift your eyes higher and picture the man who learns these laws, obeys them, and makes them his very breath. He doesn't wonder what to do. He knows. His aim burns within him like a star, and every step he takes is aligned with it. He speaks and others listen because his words carry the conviction of faith. He acts and others follow because his presence radiates command. He fails, but instead of crumbling, he studies his defeat, turns it into wisdom, and rises stronger than before. Such a man does not drift. He builds. He multiplies. He carries himself as though success were already secured, and life bows to his certainty. His friends admire him, his family stands proud beside him, and even his enemies, though they may hate, cannot help but respect the strength that radiates from him. This man cannot be stopped. He is the master of himself, of others, of circumstances. He is not the toy of chance, but the maker of destiny. But hear me carefully. To neglect even one of these laws is to invite disaster. The man who applies 15 and ignores the 16th is like a general who builds an impregnable fortress but leaves a single gate unguarded. The enemy will always find the unguarded gate. History itself testifies. Napoleon Bonaparte rose higher than almost any man of his age. He mastered discipline, imagination, concentration, initiative, persistence. With these, he bent Europe to his will. But he ignored one law, the law of tolerance. His pride, his lack of harmony with others, his contempt for limits brought his empire crashing down. He won battles, but lost himself. And though his name remains famous, it is not the fame of honor. It is the fame of warning. What will history say of you? Will it record that you mastered yourself in full, or that you fell because you neglected one corner of the foundation? So I place before you two visions. The first is of you 10 years from now, slouched in a chair, weary, explaining to your son why you never achieved what you promised, blaming bad luck, while deep inside you know the truth. It was cowardice, drift, and neglect. The second is of you 10 years from now, standing tall, your name spoken with respect, your family secure, your wealth multiplying, your conscience clear, and even your enemies forced into silence before your victories. The difference between these two futures lies in whether or not you seize the 16 laws of success. The choice is yours. The laws are here. They do not bend, they do not break, they do not excuse. They can make you rich in money, rich in friends, rich in power, rich in peace, or they can make you poor in all. This is the threshold. Step through and you will never be the same. So fix your attention. Listen as though your children's future were watching you, because it is. Listen as though your enemies were plotting against you, because they are. Listen as though your destiny will be decided by your obedience to these next words, because it will. Law 1. Definite chief aim. No man can hope to rise above mediocrity until he fixes his heart and mind upon a definite chief aim. Without a definite aim, life is wasted in drifting. A drifting man may possess strength, imagination, or opportunity, yet because his effort is scattered, he accomplishes nothing. 90 days of drifting become 900, and years are lost. The penalty of drifting is regret, and the remedy is definiteness. Henry Ford chose an aim that seemed ridiculous to his age, to put the common man on wheels. He was not content to tinker with automobiles for the rich. His definite aim was to create a motor car that could be produced cheaply, maintained easily, and owned by every family. Men laughed at him, investors doubted him, but Ford's definiteness never wavered. He fixed his eye upon his purpose and bent every ounce of thought and energy to it. Within a short span, his aim crystallized into the Model T and an empire. Andrew Carnegie, too, fixed upon an aim: mastery of steel. He did not wander from coal to textiles to railroads as so many did. He aimed at steel with such definiteness that all other opportunities were measured against it and discarded if they conflicted. By pouring himself into this single aim, Carnegie built one of the greatest fortunes the world has ever known. His aim acted as a magnet that drew to him men of talent, capital, and opportunity. The drifting man may protest, "I do not know my aim." That is no excuse, for desire speaks within every heart. What is it that stirs your imagination, that excites your soul, that you dream of in secret? That is your aim. Write it down. Do not trust it to memory. Fix it in black and white, where your eyes may see it daily. Then read it aloud each morning upon rising and each night before retiring. Read it with feeling until your subconscious accepts it as a command. This daily ritual is not suggestion, it is law. Repetition engraves the aim upon your mind until your every thought and act bend unconsciously toward its fulfillment. A vague dream becomes definite. A wavering desire becomes a burning obsession. 90 days of this practice will set you apart from 90% of men who continue to drift without compass. I have studied more than 500 men of great achievement, and I tell you with certainty, every one of them had a definite chief aim. None of them drifted into greatness. Their aims may have differed: wealth, invention, leadership, but all were definite. This is no accident. Nature herself demands definiteness. A seed planted without soil, water, and light withers. A man without an aim withers just the same. Do not fear that your aim is too bold. Life respects boldness. Do not fear that your aim is too high. The loftiest towers are built upon foundations as simple as stone and mortar. Your task is not to shrink your aim to fit your doubts, but to expand your faith to fit your aim. Say aloud with me now, "I know what I want. I demand it of life. I fix my heart upon it and bend my every thought to its attainment. My aim is clear, my will is unshakable, my destiny is certain." Repeat this until it is not merely words, but identity. For when a man knows what he wants and demands it with persistence, the world has no choice but to yield. Without definiteness, you will waste 10, 20, even 30 years wandering from one pursuit to another. With definiteness, 90 days of disciplined thought and action will accomplish more than years of indecision. This is how you save decades of your life, by fixing your aim now, obeying it daily, and refusing to drift. Definiteness is the first law because all others depend upon it. Faith must have an aim to cling to. Persistence must have an aim to pursue. Discipline must have an aim to enforce. Attention must have an aim to focus. Without a definite chief aim, the other laws collapse. With it, they unite into irresistible power. Therefore choose, write, speak, believe, act. Let no day pass without reaffirming your aim. Let no man dissuade you. Let no fear silence you. For the man with a definite aim is already halfway to victory, while the man without one is already defeated. Remember this truth: nature does not excuse ignorance. The law of success does not pardon the man who drifts, but it richly rewards the man who fixes his aim, for he has aligned himself with the principle by which all progress is made. Fix your definite chief aim today, and the next 90 days will purchase for you not only results, but identity. You will no longer be a wanderer. You will be a builder. You will no longer be a servant. You will be a master. You will no longer be a drifter. You will be a man of destiny. Law 2, self-confidence and faith. No man can rise above mediocrity until he believes that he can. Faith is the eternal elixir that gives life, power, and action to desire. Self-confidence is faith turned inward, the assurance that the man himself has the strength to achieve what he desires. Together, they are the very breath of all achievement. Without them, 90 days of effort collapse into nothing. With them, 90 days can condense decades into a season of triumph. Faith is not a timid hope. Hope waits upon chance, but faith commands life to obey. Faith is not a wish muttered in secrecy. It is a blazing certainty that seizes the mind and bends it toward fulfillment. The man who hopes says, "If it is meant to be, it will be." The man of faith says, "Because I will it and act upon it, it shall be." Hope postpones. Faith insists. Hope drifts. Faith advances. Faith must be planted through the principle of autosuggestion. The subconscious mind does not argue. It obeys what is impressed upon it with repetition and emotion. Speak to yourself each day. I believe in myself. I believe in my aim. I believe the resources of life will bend to my will. I believe I am destined for greatness. Say this aloud each morning and evening until your subconscious, like fertile soil, accepts the seed as truth. Consider John D. Rockefeller. In the early days, oil was uncertain. Wells dried up, fortunes were lost, men called it unstable. But Rockefeller believed. His faith was so absolute that he persisted where others abandoned the field. That faith turned poverty into riches, obscurity into power, uncertainty into empire. Without faith, he would have quit with the rest. With faith, he mastered oil, and through it, wealth beyond imagination. Charles M. Schwab rose from modest beginnings to preside over the greatest steel company of his age. He did so not merely through skill, but through confidence. His presence radiated assurance. Men trusted his leadership because he trusted himself. Carnegie saw in Schwab not merely ability, but faith in his own capacity. That faith drew opportunities to him. His confidence turned ordinary days into milestones. Contrast these men with the doubter. The doubter wastes decades asking, "Can I?" He studies, prepares, hesitates, waits for assurance. But while he waits, another man, one less skilled but more confident, seizes the prize. The doubter consoles himself by blaming chance, but the truth is merciless. His own lack of faith chained him. Doubt is poverty in the making, and self-confidence is riches in the making. Faith is contagious. When you speak with conviction, men believe you, even before results are visible. When you walk with confidence, doors open, allies gather, opportunities appear. Faith in yourself radiates outward until it persuades others to have faith in you. This is why faith must be cultivated as a habit. 90 days of constant affirmation, spoken with feeling, will ingrain it so deeply that doubt will no longer find lodging in your mind. Do not say to yourself, "I will try." The language of faith is, "I will." Do not whisper, "Perhaps." The language of faith is, "It shall be done." Do not wait to see the path clear before you begin. Begin, and the path will clear. Faith precedes evidence, for it is faith itself that creates the evidence. If you wait until you see results before you believe, you will never believe at all. Thomas Edison faced thousands of failures in his search for light. Each experiment seemed to testify against him, but faith prevented him from interpreting failure as defeat. He believed so strongly that light could be harnessed that each failure became proof that he was closer to success. Without faith, he would have wasted years and abandoned the quest. With faith, he collapsed centuries of darkness into a single invention. I say to you, the next 90 days must be lived under the rule of faith. You must speak it, write it, live it, breathe it. Each morning, stand before your mirror and declare aloud, I believe in myself. I believe in my definite aim. I believe that infinite intelligence flows through me, guiding and empowering my every act. Do not whisper it timidly. Speak it with feeling as though you were commanding an army. For indeed, you are commanding the greatest army, your own thoughts. Each evening, repeat the ritual. Before retiring, speak your faith aloud, visualize your aim achieved, and fall asleep in the conviction that it is already yours. The subconscious, thus instructed, will work through the night, aligning circumstances and opportunities for your benefit. 90 days of this practice will ingrain faith so deeply that no setback, no criticism, no ridicule can shake it. Remember always that faith is not merely for grand moments. It must be lived daily. Have faith in your decision, faith in your persistence, faith in your worth. Each small act carried out with faith becomes compounded, multiplying results. Each day of doubt delays you by months. Each day of faith advances you by years. This is how faith shortens time and saves decades of your life. Repeat with me. I believe with absolute certainty. I believe in my aim, my power, my destiny. My faith makes these 90 days sufficient to purchase a new life. Speak this until you feel it in your very bones. For when you believe, the world must obey. The penalty of neglecting this law is severe. The man who doubts lives a lifetime of half efforts. He begins and abandons, dreams and hesitates, plans, and never acts. He excuses his failures as fate, but fate is not to blame. His doubt condemned him. His lack of faith lengthened his journey by decades. He arrives at old age with empty hands, whispering, if only. But the man of faith lives differently. He acts as though success is certain, and success comes. He speaks as though power already flows through him, and power flows. He commands his subconscious daily, and his subconscious creates. He believes when others doubt, and he advances while others stagnate. His 90 days produce what others waste 30 years seeking. Faith redeems time, magnifies power, and engraves destiny. Therefore, I command you, plant faith today, guard it as treasure, feed it with affirmations, strengthen it with action, protect it from the poison of ridicule and fear, make it your constant companion. For with faith you need not wonder if success will come. With faith, success is inevitable. Law 3, initiative and leadership. The man who waits to be told what to do will always remain a servant. Initiative is the power that separates the leader from the follower. Leadership is not granted by title or birth. It is seized by the man who dares to act without waiting, who creates movement where others stand still. 90 days of initiative practiced daily can carry you farther than 10 years of waiting for permission. Most men live as though they are children, waiting for a master to give orders. They perform tasks because they are told, not because they have chosen. They stand idle when the path is unclear, hoping another will show the way. Such men drift, and because they drift, they remain chained to mediocrity. Opportunity appears, but because they hesitate,